Another Round is brought to you by Wink. Get wines that are tailored to your palate delivered right to your door. Go to trywink.com/anotherround and you'll receive $20 off your first order plus complimentary shipping. That's trywinc.com/anotherround.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heben.
I'm Tracy.
And welcome to Another Round with Heben and Tracy.
Yay!
Excitement noises.
Yay. Oh, my gosh.
They're here.
Hi, Ev.
Hi, Tracy McGee.
What's up?
It feels like a year since I've seen you.
But it was yesterday?
It was literally yesterday.
It was
less than 24 hours.
I feel like somebody slipped some extra hours in there, honestly.
Anyways, how's everyone's day going?
Hey, I'm alive today.
Ooh.
In spite of myself.
Yeah.
Because myself had some other plans when I woke up this morning.
I
but
hear
I'm
that.
here.
I hear that.
Why are we here? What are we doing on the show today?
That's an excellent question. So he's a friend of the show. You may know him as Twitter savant Jonny Son.
I'm so excited.
He just recently wrote a brand spanking new book called Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too.
Can I just say that I cried for 24 hours after I read this book?
It is surprisingly moving for being like a picture book for adults.
Yeah. So I tend to avoid content like movies and songs and stuff that makes me cry or think about mortality or how we're going to die one day or like sadness.
That's my jam.
Yeah,
I schedule those.
I feel like my brain makes that content all the time anyway, so I don't need to like seek it out.
I hear that.
But this book like walks you through all of that in just like a very sweet, earnest, gentle, just like pure, such a pure way. I just love it so much.
Oh,
I can't wait to talk to him about it.
yeah.
Haven't guessed what else we're gonna do today?
Ooh, what else?
Do you remember that time we played a very uncomfortable game called Y'all's Parents Was Nasty?
Oh my God, yes. I'm uncomfortable already.
So it turns out that in my research for that game, I have like 8,000 other horrendous
No.
songs to quiz you on. So let's do that today, maybe.
No.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
It's gonna be so fun.
To quote James Comey, oh, Lord. Remember that?
I do.
What a time to be alive. Well,
Let's do it.
I'm excited / not.
Yeah, let's get the uncomfortable part just out of the way.
All right.
So I can start the apologies. Hello and welcome to Y'all's Parents Was Nasty.
They sure were, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. I'm your host, young Alex Trebek. Okay, so if you are just hearing this game for the first time, here are the deets and here are the rules. Everybody loves to talk about how music today and kids these days are just gross and nasty and not romantic and just heathens and sinful and everything. But guess what we learned it from? From y'all and your parents and your grandparents, because nasty music is as American as apple pie.
All right now.
So I'm going to quiz young Heben, a.k.a. Young Sippy Cup.
I'm a baby.
On a bunch of songs that were made before either of us were thoughts in anybody's mind. So we've got some horrible, horrible songs just for you.
Oh, yay.
We're going to do this multiple choice style. I will give you the names of 4 potential awful, terrible, disgusting songs. I will give you the year that it was made, and you have to pick the title that is the real song.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so this time I'm switching it up a little bit, and you have categories to choose from.
Please, give me options. Give your girl some options.
Your categories are potent potables.
No, no.
I just didn't know what else to call that category. Puns.
Okay.
More puns. The lost art of subtlety. Pussy. And you think that would be the worst category, but the worst category is actually just awful.
Oh, no.
So those categories again: potent potables, puns, more puns, the lost art of subtlety, pussy, and just awful. I should also note that there's only one question per category.
Okay. I think we should start with the lost art of subtlety.
Oh, man, you picked a fun one. So all of these songs are songs in which a little too on the nose, right? This song was made in 1931.
Oh, no.
I should also say that most of these, I think, come from the jazz era for like the 20s, 30s, and like early 40s.
America was going through it.
America was gross. Just like mad nasty. So your choices are Banana in Your Fruit Basket, A Key for My Rusty Lock.
Ooh.
I don't know why it's rusty.
Yeah.
I Need a New Farmer to Plow My Field.
Okay.
And
I mean, she was talking about an actual literal farmer, probably.
Could have been. Or was she? And finally, come on in my vestibule.
No.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Like, I hope you didn't make any of these up.
Hey, listen, I don't want to talk about that part. You're right, I didn't make any of these up. You're right.
Okay, I'm going to say the real one is the rusty one, because why?
Oh,
no!
Young sippy cup. I am so sorry.
No!
The correct answer is banana in your fruit basket. This charming ditty was made by Bo Carter in 1931. And
Bo.
Oh, Bo. He just wanted to put his banana in your fruit basket.
I've got a brand new list.
I get it, girl. I get it.
Yeah, she just like, you better hurry up. I got shit to do. You go snatch it and grab it or no. Shout out to Julia Lee and her boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay, so we have time for one more category. You have 3 more to choose from. Those categories are more puns, pussy, and just awful.
I gotta admit, I'm curious. What isn't just awful?
All right, just remember this is your choice. You did this to our
I was
listeners.
warned. It's literally just awful.
They are just all terrible. The year is 1938. She swallowed it. What's that smells like fish? The Cock Eater and Big Dick Blues.
I feel like the Big Dick Blues is like American racism showing.
You know what?
Is
Good
that
point,
it?
but that is not the answer. The answer, unfortunately, is what's that
fish?
smells like
Yes.
fish. It made me the saddest. It really did. This is a charming ditty called What's That Smells Like Fish by Blind Boy Fuller. 1938, you look so stressed out.
Is it because he's blind? Is he blind and he's smelling? I don't like this situation at all.
I'm not a fan.
What's that smell like fish, baby? Good if you really wants to know. Smell like pudding and it ain't on pie. Same thing that you know you have to buy. What's that smell like fish? Good if you really want to know. I mean, good if you really want to know. Yeah.
Say that it really is about like some fried catfish that his wife is cooking. You still got to contend with him thinking that these are vaginas that he's smelling, you know? So it's not a great situation for anybody to be in. Young sippy cup, you know? It's tough. Today was a tough game.
It was.
But, you know, thankfully for you, I have pages of more terrible songs.
Oh, yay me.
So we will revisit so that you can...
Thrilled.
But you did great, studio audience. Give it up for
Oh,
Heben.
my God. For basic participation, I
Join
guess.
us next time on Y'all's Parents Look Nasty.
Aw.
Support for Another Round comes from Wink, the monthly wine club that delivers unique and interesting wines based on your own personal taste. You can get started by taking their palate profile quiz at trywink.com/anotherround. That's Wink spelled WINC. So if you're wondering if I would ever use a service like this because I identify mostly in public as a bourbon drinker, the answer is a resounding yes. I love wine, but something that really bothers me with my neighborhood living in Brooklyn is that my local liquor store does not carry rosé, and I have no idea why. So what I'm not going to do is hop a train and go to the next neighborhood to get a bottle of rosé. But what I would do is sign up with Wink so that I can have rosé brought to me on my couch to my door, and I don't even have to put on pants except to answer the door, because that would be weird if I didn't do that. So right now, Wink is offering $20 off and complimentary shipping on your first order when you go to trywink.com/anotherround. Once again, that's $20 off your first order, plus you get complimentary shipping. Just go to trywinc.com/anotherround to get started today. I'm trying to be chill right now.
You got it.
Am I doing okay?
You look great.
Thank you. Took a shower today. But I'm so excited about our guest because our guest wrote a book that ruined me in a really great way. I'm still kind of crying. He is a researcher, designer, engineer, artist, comedian, author, playwright, etc., and the human being behind the account Jonny Son on Twitter, JONNY Son, and he's a little alien and he's just trying to figure out how Earth works, and I can't wait to talk about it. Oh, also, getting your PhD in urban studies at MIT,
Fingers crossed,
et cetera, et
hopefully.
cetera.
Fingers crossed, like you're not doing it.
Yeah. And his book is called Everyone's. I don't know how to pronounce
We'll just do Alien. I've been saying Alien.
Okay.
Everyone's an
Okay.
alien, spelled Aliebn.
Yes. Called Everyone's an Alien when you're an alien too.
Correct.
It's beautiful. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So the way that I was made aware of your existence on this planet. So when I saw Hamilton for the first time,
Oh my goodness.
I know I hate myself too. Right now. I met a gentleman named Lin-Manuel Miranda after the show.
Life flex.
Just a little bit. And what I remember most is being so flustered because I'm the biggest dork when I meet people that I'm like excited about. So I'm like, don't say anything stupid. And then the other thing I remember is he was telling me about some alien who has a Twitter account. And I was just like, I don't get it. He was like, yeah, Johnny's son's coming later and he's got this Twitter account. He's an alien. He spells stuff crazy. And I was like, what? But I also didn't want to be like, what? I was just like, oh yeah, sure. So it seems like a difficult thing to describe. So what is this book about?
It's kind of loosely based on like this character that I was working on Twitter, which is basically like an alien who is trying to figure out like the world and to navigate like human life and stuff.
And this is an actual like alien from
little baby
outer
alien.
space.
Yeah, that's like my avatar is like a drawing of like a little alien trying to
It's
figure
so
things out. Yeah, and the book is kind of like the explicit version of that. It's a story. It's about 300 pages. I call it like an adult length picture book. Because it is drawn like a picture book, but it's a longer one. But it's about an alien who comes to Earth with the intention to study humans, and then instead like meets a bunch of animals and like plants and stuff, and thinks they're humans and starts talking to them instead, and just like learning about all these different like struggles that all these characters go through. Yeah.
So where does Jonny and the Johnny Son account, like where do you intersect?
Yeah.
Like what pieces of your personality do we find in the alien?
I mean, I feel like it's pretty one-to-one. Like, I feel like it's... I just treat it like a personal account, and I think part of the fun of it is having, like, that slight, like, veil of anonymity lets me be, like, more honest and more open. And I get to, like, just talk about the shit that I want to talk about anyway. So, yeah, I think, like, that's kind of the fun part. I mean, like, doing the character and figuring out the character has been really cool. But it's mainly just me. Like, I just treat it as a personal account. So, and I'm just glad to, like, tell jokes and that people like it and stuff.
Can I just like read a tweet? Is that awkward? I found this one the other day. I was like, ooh, yes. Look at this little gem in my life I needed. Okay. Pours the alcohol on the ground. Pour one out for my homies. My homies are all the rocks on the ground. Heck yeah. Haha. No stone left unturned. That is delightful.
Unturned. I get it.
Like, this is art. So that's just a little sense of the artiste.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. A reading of a tweet.
Yeah, being good at Twitter is hard. There's a lot of really bad people, or people who are just really bad at Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in like your Twitter process. Like, do you get an idea for a tweet and you like draft it? You have like a little workshop, or is it just like you think of it, you tweet it? Like, what's the process?
Yeah, I mean, I treat it the same as I treat like any creative process, I guess. Like, especially with the tweeting, I just kind of like walk around with a notebook all the time, or like either with a notebook or just my notes app on my phone, and I just keep like a log of all the stuff that I think might be interesting to talk about, and then at some point I'll just sit down and like sometimes it takes half an hour to like figure out what to tweet, which sounds silly.
No,
but
that's real.
It's literally
that's
just like
art.
sitting down and like figuring out what the take is. I try to treat it like stand-up or comedy or just like a real writing gig.
Man,
So it takes up a lot of time.
I'm not taking this shit seriously enough. I'll be in bed like, oh, that's a good tweet. And then sometimes I'll tweet it and nobody likes it. That's fine.
But before you were a Twitter person, you were a human person.
That's correct. Some would say I still am a human person.
Exclusive.
And our producers tell us you're from Canada?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's wild.
What? That's crazy. That's the entirety of my question.
Okay. Yes, I am from Canada. I moved here like 4 years ago for school.
Oh, shit. So
Yeah.
you're still kind of new here.
Yeah,
Aw.
absolutely. And that's like kind of what inspired the alien thing too, because like people say Canada and the U.S. are kind of similar, but moving here was a very strange experience.
Okay, talk to me about all this because I'm going to Toronto.
Uh-huh.
This will be my first time in Canada next month.
All right.
What do I need to know? What do I need to avoid?
I feel like Toronto's way more chill about race than
Okay.
the U.S. Like I moved,
First thing to know.
Probably. I would believe this.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up like right downtown in Toronto, so like just in the intersection of all this stuff, and I didn't know how Americans talked about race until I got here, and it was like it was a very strange experience.
How do
Elaborate.
Canadians talk about race?
We kind of don't like that's part of the good and the bad thing because it's not as much of like a point, I guess. But at the same time, we don't have discussions about race as much, or at least in my experiences and in my like the way I grew up and where I grew up and stuff.
I was just going to ask if this is something that you see as a detriment. Like, should they be talking about race more in Canada? Or is it like, things are pretty chill. We're not killing each other, so we can
I mean,
just
it's
chill out a little bit.
a little bit of both, but I think like there's definitely like racism still exists in Canada because racism exists everywhere, and I think it could like work to talk a bit more about it. I think my like situation was like I grew up in a very multicultural high school, and I had friends like from everywhere, and it was never like, oh, I have like a black friend here and like an Asian friend here and whatever. It was just like we all kind of hung out and didn't really like self-reflect on that.
Did you self-identify as Asian when you were...
I actually didn't really think about like my identity as like an Asian person and like a Canada-born Asian person until very recently, I guess. Part of it is like I moved here for architecture school, and I went to Yale, which is for architecture, which is yeah, I know it was a very tough place to get through, and especially architecture, which is like still a very like white old male field, and so like primarily the student body was like the people who were like chosen to be relevant in school were like primarily white and male. And then there was like one black kid in our class he was Ethiopian. And
Hey, shout out to you.
Shout out to Heben's cousin.
yeah, and like a smattering of like Asian kids and stuff. But it was like that made me realize it for the first time, I think. Maybe being in a place where the people in power were predominantly old white men, which wasn't the case before. I guess it wasn't as intense before.
Yeah. How did you navigate adapting to that?
I had a very tough time.
Yeah.
I don't think I ended up doing it successfully because that was like one of the first times I really felt invisible or ignored and like passed up. Instead of trying to like really push my way through, I kind of just like retreated and did other stuff. So like while I was there, I started writing plays again and working on the theater. And this is when I started the Twitter account and started like telling jokes because I was like, oh, if I'm going to be heard somewhere, I'm just going to like do it online.
And get these tweets off.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that as you're running this Twitter account where you've got this little alien trying to make his way through the world, that had to have been therapeutic for you as you're trying to make your way through this new white-ass society.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was kind of when the character started, when I got there and I was like, I feel new here and I feel different and I'm trying to figure this out
What were
too.
some of those moments?
A lot of the times were like, I wasn't like tuned to look at it through a racial perspective, but then at every review, which is essentially like a panel of other architects who come in and like kind of critique your work for your finals and stuff, which is terrifying.
I'm anxious just thinking about it.
I realized like in the third year was like the first time I saw like an Asian male architect come in and kind of do things. And I was like, oh, I've been through this for 3 years and I didn't see someone like me doing that.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, I think that's one of the big things when I realized like, oh, there are the people who are teaching this and like I guess the structures involved are very old fashioned in that way.
Man,
Yeah.
never too old for culture shock, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it can
Yeah.
just hit you in the face at any point.
So tell us a little bit more about how that translated into starting this Twitter account.
I mean, like part of the reason I started was in Toronto. I was part of like this school sketch comedy group called School Night. We all like wrote comedy together, and like we were just like an undergrad kind of group, and it was
cute.
fun and cute, and like it was
Remember
a
any
family.
of the sketches?
I mean, I directed a show, so I have like a whole thing of sketches. The backbone of it was just like struggling to get through school and like being able to accept who you were, even if you weren't like succeeding the way other people were trying to like tell you to, and just like feeling okay about getting through things. So like our Act 1 finale, it's like a musical sketch comedy show. And our Act 1 finale was like a spoof on that Killers song that goes like, I got soul, but I'm not a soldier.
I love the Killers.
Yeah,
Yes.
but like I reimagined it to be like this dystopic thing where like the professor's on like a giant screen and like it's like very 1984. And then that middle part, that bridge was I might fail, but I'm not a failure. And all the students like standing up on the desks and like screaming that and stuff.
So inspirational.
I made like everyone in the front row cry.
Yes, good.
Speaking of, how does it feel? Because people have to tell you that you make them cry all the time, I'm assuming.
I think, yeah, that's true.
What does it feel like?
I feel kind of bad and kind of like, oh, like mainly it's just like, it's kind of cool because I usually write all this stuff for myself. Like I'm writing it to figure out my own feelings about things and trying to, sometimes like putting a specific feeling into words really helps me kind of process it and understand, or just like be able to reference it and go back and like understand it from a more concrete way. And so when someone like reacts that way to something I write, for me it's kind of like, oh, I found like a kindred spirit out there, or someone like out there understood this like weird thing that I'm feeling that I wasn't able to express until this point, and it helped someone else kind of put words to it too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool for me, and I feel like we made like this tiny connection out in the world, I guess.
This is the most horrible interview. And I knew it was going to be, but I'm still surprised.
Sometimes or I guess often I feel like you're categorized as what is called weird Twitter, which is kind of hard to explain if you're not on Twitter, but like, you know, loosely kind of absurdist. I feel like there are specific accounts like Fart or something.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it's at fart.
Yeah.
What?
That
And
is
at
how.
Thrill.
Yeah. I don't know.
At dog boner.
They're hard. It's hard to describe, but it's basically synonymous with kind of an ironic, sardonic tone.
Okay.
And I feel like you're pretty earnest.
Yeah, I think the weird Twitter thing was like really like, this is like gonna sound so weird to talk about out loud, but weird Twitter is like that was like a thing around 2012. Like that was a pretty accurate label, and everyone obviously who was part of weird Twitter hated that label. But
Right. It's like when all those black Twitter think pieces came out.
Everybody
was
just like,
We literally just black on Twitter. Come on.
He's like, we're literally just weird on Twitter.
That's it. That's all.
But yeah, I mean, that was like a loosely connected group of like basically anonymous accounts who were like tweeting weird, surreal, kind of absurd jokes. It's turned into a lot of like the irony thing, which makes me upset because a lot of like the people who were like quote good unquote at quote weird Twitter unquote were pretty funny people, and then eventually like time progressed and I guess people got bitter or they changed, and now a lot of like the people who were synonymous to weird Twitter are very like ironic and kind of mean and sardonic and stuff.
Yeah, you've said you'd like to see the death of irony.
Yeah, I mean,
Ooh.
I'm not into
Death
irony.
to irony.
Yeah.
Tell me more. I'm intrigued.
I mean, there's the internet's so good at irony anyway, and I just think there's a lot of it, and it gets in the way a lot of the time because I think the function of irony is to kind of be like, oh, you either like are on my side and get the joke, or you're an idiot and you don't, and like let's laugh at all
That's
the
how
idiots
I
who
use
don't.
That's how I weaponize it. Go off, Tracy. Go off.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, how do you use it then? What is your?
Oh, I don't actually. It's just bullshit. I don't know that I spend a lot of time thinking about like irony.
Yeah.
Mostly because I still don't know if I know like the actual textbook meaning of irony. Like
Sure.
when people started talking about, nobody's using irony the right way. I was like, am I using irony the right way? And so I kind of like backed away.
Yeah, but
no.
you use like sarcasm.
Yeah, I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I try to be like a nice one, or
That's-
like an asshole for like useful things.
An asshole
Yeah.
for justice.
Exactly.
That's great though. I think that's fine. Like I like, for me, like I think I have like a very extreme definition of what irony is online, because irony to me is like when someone is tweeting me death threats and being like, oh, you don't get it, I'm just like having a joke, and I'm like, it's not funny when like
right.
you say you have my address and
Holy
know where I
shit.
live.
Does that
and
happen
stuff.
to you?
It has. Yeah, absolutely. And I think
crazy.
has it happened to you?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what being a woman on the internet is like.
And
Sure.
being a woman of color and being a black woman. Yeah.
Yeah, specifically,
specifically.
we get some pretty fucked up shit in our DMs.
Woo! Fun times.
Yeah.
So the internet is a lot of it's shitty.
Yeah.
And that's because there are a lot of shitty people who have access to the internet.
Sure, yeah.
However, you remain optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm more on the Black Mirror side of the spectrum, where I'm like, this is where we're headed, and, and this is it. how do you stay so positive when like there's so much trash on the internet?
Yeah, well, I think I've seen enough cool stuff that happens online that it gives me like a little bit of hope. Like a lot of my friends, like my really close friends in real life, are people that I met through Twitter originally.
Yes.
And like,
don't listen to your parents. Meet all of the people
Yeah,
you
find
like on the
strangers.
meet all the
internet.
people on the internet. Exactly.
I live by that for real.
I mean, unless they
Yeah.
wear serial killer glasses, and everybody knows what those are, right?
Obviously,
Yeah.
telltale signs.
Yes. Yeah.
First clue.
Oh, he was wearing the glasses though. Come on.
But you didn't know.
But I've met so many people, like even now, like we're hanging out partially
It's
because of the
true.
internet.
I'm into some tears. This whole
Yeah.
conversation.
And it's been fun to like make friends and like meet people in real life that you know through Twitter, because I feel like on Twitter you get a different side of someone, like a side that they sometimes aren't willing or able to like put out in the real world. And then I feel like there's like a bit of like a different kind of truth to like their persona online if they choose to present themselves that way. And I try to do that too. And so when you meet someone like-minded like that in real life, then you like kind of skip the first like 3 or 4 times
Yeah.
you hang out with someone, and you just get to the part where like, oh, I already know you. Like this is just like a normal time.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And like people had there was a couple that found each other like through my comments on one of the tweets and like got married.
What?
And like it was crazy.
Oh my God, did you go to the wedding?
I was invited.
That is the cutest. Ooh, okay. So something else that I want to talk about as far as like Twitter and going viral and virality. You had these adorable bots,
Yeah.
and somebody stole them.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me more about what happened? What?
Yeah.
Sure.
Who's
Yeah.
stealing your bots? What?
Yeah, okay. This is like another thing about the internet that is a bit wild. So I had a bot called Tiny Care Bot, which I made like in November, like right after the elections.
Oh.
Because you knew then that we was gonna need.
Yeah, I need it.
Dang.
Let's get a big care bot.
I need a giant one now. I want one to like follow me around and give me hugs all the time.
This is my little tiny care bot. I need it.
Yeah. But I mean, after the election, I had found like I couldn't get out of bed for days. I was like just in bed. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was just like scrolling through Twitter specifically because I was like, give me something that's good. Like, give me a piece of good news that like we,
Yeah.
instead of watching this like train wreck and like collectively grieving and everyone's screaming at each other and stuff. And I realized like, oh, I need like a thing to remind me to take care of myself in just small ways that'll like just I realized like as soon as I like was able to put down the phone for a minute, then it would kind of break the spell, right? And I
You
was
could
like,
like shower.
yeah, exactly.
You can remember to eat.
When you leave the Twitter days.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what happened?
When you put your phone down, you look in the mirror, you got like a beard and like it's all grimy.
Yeah,
It's like, when did this happen?
So I made this little bot that essentially does that. And they're all like small actionable items like get a sip of water or like get a breath of fresh air or like even just like look out the window, which sometimes breaks the spell.
Yeah.
So I did it for me and I was like, oh, this is cool. And so then I was like, okay, I'll like kind of put it out and see what people like about it. And like my bot wasn't like the first. There's a long history of, I think, self-care bots on Twitter.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
don't need that oil history.
There are a lot of cool ones. Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite one, I think I put in the newsletter once, just called Yay Friends Bot.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think you're so cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
thank you, Yay Friends Bot. And then when you retweet it, it'll tweet like an affirming message just that you like, you look
Yeah.
great today.
Yeah, I love that.
I know you're not a
That's
real person, but this
beautiful.
works for me. I love it.
There's like I think there's one called like queer self-care or something that like is very supportive of like the queer community and people.
Wait, so who stole this lovable bot?
So yeah,
Right.
so my bot was like the structure of it was like it's an emoji and then like a self-care thing. And then someone just like straight up started like stealing the tweets, and it like they didn't even steal it as a bot. Like
What do
they
you mean
didn't do it.
stealing?
So they just like copied and pasted the tweets
Onto like a more popular account?
onto
or-
their own account that was called effort. I don't remember. It was called like Small Care Bot or something.
Oh my
It was-
God.
It's
Mini- it
definitely
was
the
Mini
greater
Care Bot.
value brand,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. But so I mean, the thing about the internet is like there are a lot of people who are just there to like turn profits, right? And to
Oh, people
just-
love this joyous thing.
Yeah.
I can
How
ruin
can I
it.
Let me
make
make money
for
off
me?
of this.
Aw,
yeah.
That's true. That is a cardinal rule of the internet.
So I once had a viral thing.
Yeah.
And like I know that there comes a point where it's kind of like not your well, I guess it's like as somebody who's never had kids, it's exactly like having a baby. And like the baby gets older and like they move out on their own and like you can't keep it safe anymore. You know, it's just like out there in the world and you can't really like police it and like it's kind of like not your thing anymore. So
Sure.
how did it physically feel to see that somebody had just like jacked all your shit and just like put it on this other name?
It was terrible. It feels horrible, right?
Kidnapping, your baby's gone.
And it's like this is something that I worked on and was proud of, and like I think more importantly for me was this felt like a piece of me that I like was able to like articulate and put online. Like I think when I tweeted about it, I was like, I made a Horcrux, guys. Look at this. Check this out. I split myself into this thing. There's like this hidden secret network of people online who they kind of run all like the big joke stealing accounts and like the big like Dory and like just
Common white girl.
posts. Common white girl. Yeah.
All of those like popular Twitter accounts are like run by 4 annoying white guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like total trash dudes. The people who stole my Tiny Care Bot thing were part of like that type of person.
Wow.
And it's wild. It's wild because like they're gonna make money off of it, and they were able to just like grow it. Like it has, I think, 200,000 followers at this point because they just like do the shady shit and they like direct other people to it, and it's just like it's frustrating because there's nothing you can do about it, and you can try to get it shut down, but it came back. Like what really pissed me off is so now I think it's rebranded. I think it's called. Which is, this is horrible that I'm talking about because I'm giving them free publicity.
We'll very dramatically bleep out the name.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. But one of my followers found an account called Shop. And it's like clearly the same branding and stuff. So, and they were like, oh, they're just going to release like a shop for all this stuff that they've stolen from me.
Jesus.
And they're going to make a bunch of money from that. So
I'm livid.
How do you explain any of this to your parents?
Yeah.
My mom is actually really good. She gets it because she follows me on Twitter, and like every time I tweet something that she doesn't like, she'll be like, "You should delete this tweet." Like this is.
Wait, I want to know which one she wants you to delete.
I don't know.
Right, like what could you possibly tweet that's not mom friendly?
Or sometimes she'll be like, "You have not tweeted a joke in a while, so like maybe you should tweet something."
Get these
'cause
jokes
people are
up.
getting bored. Yeah, she's
Come
like
on,
my
Momager,
unofficial
see?
manager.
I love it.
But she reads all my tweets, and so she gets it. Like she kind of like has a sense of like all my friends now on Twitter. It's like it's kind of fun. It's a little bit strange.
I love
though.
that.
Yeah,
I
it's cute,
forbade
though.
my mother to friend
Forbade?
any.
I tried to.
And then I just gave up. I was like, you know what? Do what you want to.
Yeah, do your thing.
Just do.
I'm not gonna block you.
Yeah. I will
right,
friend you,
Mom.
but I will not block you. So, self-care is a thread that runs
Yes.
throughout so much of the stuff that you do. Do you feel a responsibility to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Because there are a few things. One is I'm aware of like how many people read my stuff online, so I try to make things positive and in like not a cheesy way. Like I try to be like realistically positive, or like the way I think about it is like everything's trash already, but given that, here's like a little positivity in spite of that. And mainly it's like mainly for me to try to stay positive.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such an excellent summary of your Twitter account.
Yeah.
Things are trash. This is what we got.
Yeah.
This is what we got. We're trying here.
Yeah. And that's what moved me so much about your book.
Oh, thank you.
So I feel like my favorite part of the book is one that really encapsulates like the feel of the book and also of your Twitter account too. So in this particular scene, we've got our alien who's looking kind of stressed out because he's just learned that like life is hard and also is going to end one day. Like we're going to die one day. And he's standing with this snail, and the snail says, look, life is bad. Everyone's sad. We're all going to die. But I already bought this inflatable bouncy castle, so are you going to take off your shoes or what? And I was like, this is what life should be. Everything's trash, but we're still here. Yeah. We still have to live it, so try to have some fun somewhere.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy.
I'm so glad that that resonates, too.
Yeah,
like, that's,
Do they have adult bouncy castles? Because we should invest, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yo.
Let's be real. Put our money where our mouth is.
I want like a personal one.
Ooh.
Like instead of like a bathroom stall size bouncy castle that I just get to stand in and bounce on.
Yeah. Because sometimes you just need to go bounce on some stuff.
I mean, the book was very personal to me, and I was like writing it to kind of help me figure out some of the stuff and put words to it and put a thing to it. But like, I think part of that was also like last year was the first year I started therapy. And like the first year I
Tell
realized
me more, tell me more.
like let's get into
We're
this.
familiar.
Yeah.
The both of us recently got back into therapy.
Oh my God.
Like a
My
week
appointment's
ago.
literally tomorrow. Wish me luck. I'm trying not to get too excited because, it's
So
like
this is your
dating.
first, like, since you're back.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
It's your first
Yeah.
therapist date.
I know. I hate it.
Do you have a bunch of them like lined up to like
I
kinda
don't.
choose?
Just like my date life. Anyways, let's not talk about me. You started therapy last year.
So like the other part of like why I think it's important to talk about self-care is growing up as a non-white kid, like therapy was never discussed. It was never an option. I like didn't even know that like anxiety and depression like were
Same.
applicable to us,
Yeah.
right? And so like I didn't really think about the fact that I could like go see a therapist and like talk about my anxiety and depression and stuff until I kind of just reached out and tried, and I was like, is this for me? Like I don't know if this is a thing, and they're like, oh, it's definitely for you.
Yeah.
You should be doing it.
What was that decision like? Were you like worried or nervous that it meant that like you're weak and you couldn't do it by yourself? Were other people like, did you talk about the decision with anybody else, or was it just like a private internal decision that you made?
It was a little bit of both. Like my partner, I talked to her about it, and she was really supportive of it. I didn't talk to my parents about it because I knew they'd be like, this isn't for you. Like Asian people, actually, when I did tell my parents, the first reaction was like, I don't think that this is right. Like they're like,
Really?
Asian people don't get anxious or depressed. We just like work through it. And I was like, nah, I think this is a thing.
It could be an actual thing.
Yeah.
Parents, I'm going to have to push back on that. This is language I learned in therapy, and it's helping me confront you about this.
Yes.
I understand. I feel that.
Yeah. But then the other thing was like the internet was just really good about that because like that's where I learned that like people were open about it and talking about it, and it was okay to like to do that. And so I kind of realized how helpful that was for me, and so I tried to do that as well now. But yeah, I mean, the reason I started was because I just started my PhD program, and it was like a place where I just felt like I was surrounded by like really smart, intimidating people, and I was just like, oh, this is terrifying, and I feel like out of place, and I feel like I shouldn't belong here, and I was having like a lot of
Shout
kind of
out to
issues.
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and like low self-confidence, and just like trying to figure out what I was doing. And so I was like, this seems like a good time to try this out, and it worked. And so like part of the reason why I'm so interested in talking about it on Twitter is because I know now that there's like a subset of people who follow me who are like young Asian kids who, when I first like tweeted pictures of myself, were like, oh my God, I like had no idea that
An
like
Asian in the wild.
Exactly, basically, yeah, and like an Asian in like in comedy especially,
Aw,
and
yay.
and in writing, and people I'd never seen. Like people had tweeted me and being like, I didn't even think that you could be an Asian person.
Wow.
Because I never there was never a possibility.
Yeah. I think there's this thing, because before meeting strangers off the internet, which is like a normal everyday thing, there was this, especially for somebody who feels like there's a serial killer following her all the time, there was this very real fear for me of like, once my real name is attached to this account, which had like started to like get some followers or whatever, and once people see my face, then like, they're gonna kill me. That's what I had thought. But before like people knew that I was a black woman, everybody assumed that I was a white dude because like I would tweet things that people thought were funny, and so once my face was out there, they were like, "Word, what?" And like I would see people like retweet my tweets before then, be like, "Yo, this dude is funny as fuck."
Oh
And I'm just like, "Wow, look at yourself.
Yeah.
Look at
Wow.
what you're doing." Yeah.
Yeah.
So the decision was it a nerve-wracking decision for you? Because like now you're stepping out of this shroud of like anonymity that can
Yeah.
give us a lot of comfort when we're like interacting with people
Sure.
on social media.
I think the first thing I did was like I actually put like my personal website as a link to my Twitter account, and that had
Breaching
like
the fourth wall.
Yeah, I know. And that had like a page where like you could see there was like an about page with my picture on it, and it was like still like it took a lot of work to find out who I was. When I was like, this is terrifying. I took a week to decide if I should do it, but I mean now it's kind of cool, and I'm glad I did it. And there are a lot of people out there who are like, this is like a cool thing, and it's helping them like see like representation and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. And so like to go back to the self-care thing, I think it's also important to talk about that as a person of color, I guess, because therapy and anxiety and depression and mental health are usually like topics that are meant for white people.
Yep. This is our rapid fire question segment called Pew Pew Pew.
All right.
And since you listen to the show, I won't break down what it means.
I'm ready.
Please.
What was your first online handle? Like any account that you had to make a handle for?
Jono son, because people used to call me Jono. For some
Aww.
reason. Yeah, when I was like 9, because that was the cool thing to call a Jonathan-related
An
name.
adult nickname for a 9-year-old.
I know. I imagine you like walking in with a cigarette and a paper.
Like in retrospect, I feel like they were making fun of me because I was like this like fat Asian kid with like a bowl cut, and they're like, "We're gonna give that guy the coolest name we can think
Hey,
of."
Jono, how you doing? Who would you let punch you directly in the face?
I'd let Lynn do it.
Oh,
Yes.
the most perfect answer.
Some fanfic was just born.
Oh
yeah,
ladies and
yeah. Gonna go.
Sorry,
Go
Lynn.
work with us.
You gotta punch her now. I'm sorry.
What is your favorite smell?
Favorite smell? Like 5 a.m. in the morning when you walk outside.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Like-
Can't say I'm familiar. I don't know about that life. But tell me more.
And I like usually relate that actually to like engineering school and architecture school, where we used to do all-nighters all the time. And so that smell now is like related to like relief and like finishing and going home and not like necessarily waking up and getting up and going out and starting
panicking.
my day.
Right. What
Yeah.
does 5 a.m. smell like?
It's always dewy. Like it always smells a bit dewy no matter like what the temperature is. Even in the like dead of winter or like in the middle of the summer, it's like this kind of cool dewy smell.
Yeah, like moist earth.
Yeah.
Dewy and full of possibility.
Yeah. And sleep.
Thank you for indulging us.
That was lovely.
What are like some of your favorite corners of the internet? What is just like
Favorite corners of the internet?
if there was like a Now CD? Now that's what I call
Oh
internet.
man. Oh, that's tough.
I mean, I feel like your Twitter account. Now that's what I call internet. I love it. It's the best parts. That's what you log on to Twitter for.
I mean, I love so many parts of Twitter. I love like my corner of Twitter. I love Black Twitter. I think like Black Twitter is like the lifeblood of
Yep.
Twitter, and people need to
Facts.
talk about
Facts.
it more. And like, especially academia does not talk about Black Twitter at all.
Do you think they actively avoid talking about Black Twitter because it's like beneath like scholarly whatever?
I think it's just like they're afraid of talking about race in that way. Like there are a few Black academics who are like really into like that intersection between the internet and race. But again, like the internet's another thing that's kind of like, oh, this is like for white people. Like
Yeah.
technology and stuff is like a white person thing and not like something that can include race. And I think that's changing, and I think that's cool.
How about a weird question?
Yeah.
Do it.
Got a fan.
Would we
fan of
rather?
weird
Are we doing? Are we getting
yeah.
a
It's
would we rather?
time
Oh,
for some
good.
would you rather's. Okay. Would you rather fart glitter or sneeze sand? This is a dilemma, honestly.
Fart glitter or sneeze sand? Fart glitter. 'Cause-
Okay.
Imagine. I was just thinking about pride.
Yeah, that's
Like,
Yeah, that would be a
how
perfect
lit
place
pride
to
would
fart
be.
glitter.
Farts
so
would-
amazing.
Just little clouds of glitter.
You can make a living straight off of that technique.
That's true.
That's
Sneezing
someone's
sand.
fetish.
But okay, so what about when it comes to like doing grown up activities with other grown up people, right? So you like at home after the club and you're like getting undressed and all this glitter just falls.
Oh, I didn't think about like the remnants of like keeping
like
it
I mean,
in.
it's gotta go somewhere, right?
Like when you hold it apart, you gotta hold in that glitter.
Yo, oh my gosh.
I think you could get your ways around that. I feel like you could avoid that situation.
What if you sneeze in bed? It's just like Beach City.
Exactly.
Shit.
Like,
that
who
is
wants
much,
that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's much more
yeah. I think it's
difficult.
safe to say that sneezing sand is not. It would just hurt.
Well, I mean, both of them. Like, glitter is sharp, too.
Ooh.
Ow! This is a great place to get a
Everybody's booty
refill.
holes
We all just set up a lot straighter. Okay. Since you got all the answers, would you rather accidentally sext your sibling or accidentally sext your former boss?
Former boss.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because you like that relationship's already over.
Yeah, I don't have to see you ever again.
Yeah.
I got to at least see the other one at family reunions.
Yeah.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I don't want them knowing what I
Yeah.
said. So
I think I would go with sister. Because I can be like, Fabian, forget this. This never happened.
And she'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. My
Yeah.
brother's an asshole. And he
Okay,
would
well,
never. He
I'm
would
sure she
never.
wouldn't forget it. She would definitely bring it up inconveniently.
Ah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I could take that over like I don't know. I feel like I always run into my old bosses. I will see you again.
I mean, I have the added benefit where like I think I like have switched fields every 2 years of my life, so like I kind of don't need those relationships. in a
Yeah.
weird way,
Goodbye,
so,
entire
yeah,
architectural
exactly.
firm.
Yeah, fuck it.
World.
You know what? I might accidentally sex y'all on purpose just because I can. Has anybody gotten an alien tattoo yet? Like, are people like sending you pictures of their tattoos?
Someone's gotten a tattoo based on a tweet. It wasn't like with the alien figure. I think the tweet was something like, "I want to go home," said the astronaut. "So come home," said ground control. "So come home," said the voice from the stars.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. And someone got a tattoo of that, of like the phrase "So come home" with like surrounded by stars. And
Oh
it, like, spelled
my
the constellation.
God.
It was so sweet. It was so sweet.
I feel like that would, like, if somebody showed us in another round tattoo, I feel like the imposter syndrome would just like knock me on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, like, yo, this is your body. And part of it is occupied by me forever.
Forever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I told my mom that, and she was like, "You should tell them not to get that." Like, you should tell them to remove that.
Use your influence. Tell them no.
Right. I would actually get an alien tattoo. I
Really?
would. And so my next question was going to be, do y'all want to go get alien tattoos?
Matching
After
tattoos.
this? Just think about it. Just think about it.
What were some of your favorite pieces of pop culture in your childhood?
In my childhood, it's interesting. We didn't get to talk about like growing up as like a child of immigrants too, which is something that I think like has influenced my entire like who I am and my worldview and stuff. But like because my parents immigrated from China, like we didn't have a history of like pop culture. So like I felt like I was figuring out pop culture at the same time they were, and so I didn't have like those references that a lot of I think kids. Like, or like a lot of kids get.
Only 90s kids will know this.
Yeah, but like, so I like learned it when I was, but like, Aqua was like a big.
You better cite Aqua.
Yeah, Aqua was a big one because my dad loved Aqua.
Wait, what is who or what is Aqua?
They're like this, what are they, like Swedish?
I don't even know.
They're like some wild pop group.
The Barbie girl people?
Yeah, the Barbie girls.
Yeah. That's all I know.
Yeah,
I don't know about Aqua all crazy.
We had like a VHS that was like a tour diary of Aqua. So like I knew all their names at one point.
Oh shit, they had names? What?
But for whatever reason, my dad was like, he really loved Aqua. And so like we grew up with Aqua playing in our house all the time.
That is so cute. What has being a child of immigrants like done for you? Like, talk to me about like the benefits of it.
Let's see. That's a really good question. So one of them is like the fact that I think I grew up with this understanding that I would never fit in anyway. And I kind of grew up not really feeling like I fit in anyway. So like instead of constantly kind of like struggling to fit in and to be part of the thing, I grew up with like this kind of resilience and this like understanding that it's okay to not and kind of like, okay, like I'm just going to go through life not fitting in. And that actually is kind of empowering because you aren't worried as much about like pissing people off or being awkward or whatever. You kind of just can go in and be like, okay, I'm going to do my thing. And like, I'm not going to fit in anyway. So like, I'm just going to do this and you guys can deal with it. And if you're on board, you are. And if not, then like, it doesn't matter in a way.
It took me 30 years to learn that.
I'm imagining you as a baby with like sunglasses, like deal with it.
Deal with it.
All right.
I'm Jono.
Yes, I'm Jono. We out here, bowl cutting everything.
But like, I mean, it's affected my entire life because like when I was in engineering school, I was doing comedy and theater and like doing improv on the side, and everyone else was like, "What? Why are you not? What is going on? You're not supposed to be doing this." And then even like during my PhD program, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna like just like not like I'm gonna chill and like work on this book for a year."
Yeah.
And people just fundamentally were just like, I don't understand.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What you're doing. And I was like, that's fine. It's cool. I'm
Were
totally
your
okay with that.
parents always supportive of your creative endeavors?
They are. And it's kind of funny because like my parents have like, I guess a traditional classical Asian mentality. And I've realized that it's essentially just they want their kids to like not go through risk. And the way they know how to do that is to say like, oh, become a doctor or be a lawyer or something that's like very stable traditionally to them. Which is funny because, like, I think a lot of those, like, traditional occupations are going through a lot of stuff right now anyway, and they aren't as, like, risk-averse as they might have been, I guess. And so we kind of did the creative stuff, not against their blessing, but they were like, you should also be spending this time doing other stuff. But then like my dad would come to like every single show we were in, and like a year later he'd like bust out a line from that show and like just in conversation be like, you were listening, you like remembered that for a year, and like you carry that inside you, and it's really sweet when that stuff happens, and it's great. So yeah.
Where can people find you and your work on the internet?
On the internet, I'm on Twitter at JonnySun, JonnySun. I'm on Instagram at Jomnysun, which is very confusing for everybody, which is JOMNYSUN. And on Instagram, I'm trying to like post like longer form like essays in like the comment section of the thing, and that's been really fun. It's harder to do, so I like don't post as much. But I also am just using stories right now.
Your stories are so fun.
Thanks. Yours are too.
You're like, oh my God, look at this really pretty, just perfectly framed tree. This is amazing.
That's basically it. It's me wandering around like taking pictures.
Yeah. I love
like
it.
Leaves and
I'm
stuff.
a fan.
Yeah.
I love it. Follow Johnny on all the things. Johnny, please come back and hang out
yeah,
so we can talk more about
absolutely.
Broadway and
Yes.
immigrant stuff, and we can drink more and hang out and be
Yeah,
friends.
this was a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
No
it was like hanging out
problem.
with like friends I've known forever.
Oh, please come back and do it more. Also, we still got to get those tattoos, so
Oh, yeah.
you'll have to see
Let's
us
do
again
it.
anyway.
Something she'd forget.
Nope.
Evan, guess what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time to buy some rounds.
Hey.
Oh, it's cute.
It's time to buy some rents. Hey. Time to buy some rents. Hey. Well,
Who or what are you buying around for?
my round this week is very, very simple.
Okay.
But this thing has stuck with me through sandwiches thick and thin.
Aw, I love it already.
That's right, folks. I'm buying around for Chipotle mayo.
Ooh.
I
You're
don't really
such a
have
fan.
much to say other than it has aided every sandwich I've ever eaten. Like, I can't imagine this scenario where it's not helpful.
So is this like a situation where like you have it in your home? So like when you make your
do.
own, wow.
I do.
Wow. I don't think I've ever owned a mayo that was not just like regular mayo.
Ooh, levels. What you know about that?
Nothing. I'm getting ready to make some notes. Okay, well, how do you feel about other flavored mayos? Like what about a herbed mayo?
Oh, what?
Herbed mayo. That's a thing, right? Herb mayo?
Yeah, sorry, you just sounded like mad British for a second there.
Well,
Hebed.
At time, I don't have a British accent.
I
At
appreciate your
times,
restraint.
I am British. Oh, that's French. I apologize to
I
everybody.
can't wait to go to London. What was that? No. She said, oh. Oh my God, we've strayed from mayo, which is
Oh,
the
mayo,
light in
yes.
the way.
You're right.
All I want to say is, if you for some reason are not experimenting with Chipotle mayo, throwing it on a sandwich, if you don't want to like step up your sandwich game, I can see maybe that's why you're living this way.
Right,
but if you
right.
do, peep the Chipotle mayo.
Okay, good round.
Who are you buying around for, Trace?
I am buying around for the most important singing group that no one knows about.
Ooh.
And when I say that no one knows about, that's not exactly true because people of Louisville, Kentucky, where this group is from, we know.
I'm curious.
We know. So there's not a whole lot of famous musicians that come from Louisville. I think that Wilson Pickett was from Louisville or buried in Louisville. I don't know. The point is that there's not a lot of famous musicians from Louisville. There's a group of 3 dudes named Playa, Playa, who...
I love confusing group names. You would never know that that's 3 humans.
Exactly. Also, it's the Spanish word for beach. So,
Ooh,
you know,
playa.
yeah.
Okay.
Googling them is kind of tough. But Playa
love that.
really is like the pride and joy of Black Louisville, at least. But yeah, you know, in the 90s, like when Missy Elliott was like at the top of her game and Aaliyah was still alive at the top of her game, Playa helped to write a lot of those songs.
Okay.
They sang background in a lot of Aaliyah stuff, a lot of
shit.
Missy Elliott stuff. Yeah, and they're so good. I feel like their biggest song is one that people may recognize, and they're like, oh yeah, I heard that song somewhere before, but I don't know. That song is called Cheers to You. I would love to play some for you right now. like it's just such a good,
That's a
mellow,
jam.
smooth groove, right?
Yeah.
So the entire album sounds more or less like that. The group consisted of 3 men by the names of Smoke, Black, and Static Major.
Oh my God! Sorry.
Right, which is just like the
It
most
reminded me of that governor from Maine.
shifty and
Smoothie.
and hoodly wop, whatever he said.
Yo, these are the dudes.
These are the
He met them,
dudes.
and he's like, no, you gotta believe me. These 3 black guys are unreal.
They exist for real. And they've been in Louisville the whole time. But one of the most beautiful love letters to my city of Louisville is a song the player made called I-65. I-65 is the highway that will take you to and through Louisville. And it's just so good and beautiful. And I would love to go out on this song if that's okay.
Oh, Tracy.
And we did it again.
Tracy Weebay.
Hey.
You know what makes me so happy?
what?
When people tweet me like, I just yelled out heaven, we made it, even though
That's my favorite.
I don't know heaven or Tracy. It's like,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
general affirmation, we made it.
You just reminded me of somebody who tweeted us and said that her boyfriend came home one night. He had been like out with some friends drinking. This is a wholesome story. I know that a lot of stories
I know. It's
don't
like,
go
what
good
he
places.
do? Dump him, trash.
But like he came home and like he like sat down next to her. He's drunk. And he's like, "Hi everyone, I'm Heben and I'm Tracy. This is another round with Heben and Tracy." And just did like a whole like
He did both parts.
yeah. And he did a whole segment. And I think the segment was Men Gotta Do Better.
Yes.
And I was like, this makes my heart
my God.
so happy.
We're
I need to
teaching the
find
men.
that. We are even the men can be taught, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness.
I know. But haven't we made it?
I love
Hey.
that. I love that so much.
Thank you so much to Johnny's son for stopping by the studio. You are, I can't even, like, the whole pod squad just swooned for like 20 minutes after he left.
Ray of sunshine.
Everybody should follow him on Twitter. You can do that at Johnny Son. That's Jonny Son. He is Jomny Son on Instagram. That's Jomny. And his book is called Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too. It is instant favorite book.
Yes.
So thank you to him. Shout out to the Pod Squad. This episode was produced by Nina Patuk and Julia Furlan with editorial oversight from Eleanor Kagan and Meg Kramer and production support from Agaranesh Ashagre and Alex Laughlin. They're the best, and the show, I believe, has gotten exponentially better since they have joined the Pod Squad.
Facts.
Shout out to our in-house musicians, Miss Jean Gray. You can follow her on Twitter at Jean Greasy, and Don Will of Tanya Morgan, the rap group. You can follow him at Don Will. You can follow Heben at Heben Ranch. You can follow me at Broken McPoverty.
Can you guys follow me on Facebook?
Follow Heben on Facebook.
I'm trying to remember it's a thing.
Is it a... You sound so excited.
I am very thrilled for you to be following me on Facebook.
What does your Facebook have like a fancy name? Is it
It's also Heaven Rants.
perfect? Follow Heben on Facebook at Heben Rants.
And Instagram, guys. I'm working on it.
Yeah, don't follow me on Facebook. I'm not gonna add you, to be honest.
Know your
Nothing
truth.
personal.
Know your truth.
Yeah, you know, it's just not my
You know what
stance.
else you should do?
What?
Rate us on iTunes. Tell
Ooh.
a friend.
Ooh.
Tell your mom.
Ooh, do all those things. And sign up for our newsletter. It's so good. You can do that at BuzzFeed.com/anotherround/newsletter. Drink some water. Take your meds. Oh my gosh. Take your meds. I fucked up again. Just
It's
take your
okay.
meds.
It's okay.
Don't be like me, y'all. And call your person. Your person loves you and wants to hear from you and wants to be there for you when you need them.
Back up your data.
Get some whipped shea butter.
Ooh.
Listen, my
it.
moisturization.
It's time to go.
You're right. It's time to go. Get some shea butter. Stay moisturized.
Whip it.
Whip
Bye.
it good. All right, you're done. Let's go, water.
Jesus.
I'm sorry.